Hi. What you see next to me is a mobile studio setup. What I would like to talk about today, however, is the core of every studio, and that is the switcher. A switcher is needed when you want to combine 2 or 3 cameras with player sources and others to do mixes, effects, and chroma keys. So every studio, be it mobile or stationary, will have a switcher at its center. The sources we're going to use today are 2 cameras from our lobby. This is camera number 1, this is camera number 2. The third source is a player, and on this 4th monitor you can see a preview of what's going out next. On this large monitor you can see the program output, which basically shows the image that your audience is going to see. What you also need in a mobile studio setup is a camera control section, where you can remote control your cameras so the cameraman can concentrate on the creative work of capturing the images. This is a 1.5 level mixer, which means it has a mix effects level and 3 keyers. As any mixer, it has a program bus, which allows you to select the currently output source, and a preset bus, which will allow you to select the source to be output next after a transition. It also has a bus for each of the 3 keyers. So for each of the keyers you can choose an individual source to perform chroma keys, picture-in-picture, or logo animations. In addition to the keyers, this switcher has 3 auxiliary buses, which allow you to output individual sources. Again, the auxiliary sources can be selected by pressing individual source buttons on the 3rd bus. If you're already working in high definition, you can select your favorite high definition format by pressing the menu button and pressing the reference button. At the moment the switcher is set to 1080i, but you can just as easily change it to 720p or to 576i, which is standard PAL. When you change the switcher to a certain format, it can still accept sources in other formats. So if you're working in 576i PAL, you can still input 720p or 1080i content. Or you can work in 1080i and still input PAL signals as signal sources or 720p sources. So you can mix any source to your main signal format that you've selected in your switcher. The most frequently used action with a switcher will be changing the image between 2 sources. First of all, you have to select the next source, and then you can choose to make a transition between the 2 sources by using the cut button, which will be a hard cut. Or you can use a smooth dissolve by using the fader lever. Alternatively, you can also use the auto trans key and make an automatic transition with a preset timing. You would like to use a wipe effect, you can select wipe and then perform a transition with the fader lever, or again use the auto trans key to perform a transition automatically. The third option is to use a digital video effect transition. In this case, we've chosen to shift out the picture instead of just dissolving it. What you've seen so far are the most simple actions that you can perform with a switcher. For instance, you can use it to perform chroma keys. First of all, let's set up a chroma key. You choose key 1 and you choose a source for the chroma key. Now, in order to set up the chroma key, we have to choose the color of the background, green in this case, and press the initialize button. Everything else will be done automatically by the switcher. And as you can see, an excellent quality chroma key is the result, with transparencies and shadows. So far this chroma key is on the preview monitor. Now, of course, if you want it to be seen on the main output of the switcher, all you need to do is hit the cut key and the chroma key will be seen on the output of the switcher. Alternatively, you can use the auto trans button to perform an automatic fade. And you can also use a wipe pattern to fade the chroma key in and out. But the KM-H3000 can do much more. In a news studio, first you need the key of the news anchor, then you may need an over-the-shoulder box, and lastly you need a 3rd keyer for the station logo. And this is what you can typically use the 3 keyers of the KM-H3000 for, without the need for any external equipment. If you want to assign a source to keyer number 1, you just press key number 1 and then you can assign a source to key number 1. Alternatively, you can press key number 2 and assign another source to key number 2, and you can press key number 3 and assign yet another source to key number 3. So now what happens next is that you have to go to commercial, which means you have to remove the station logo, you have to remove the over-the-shoulder box, you have to remove the news anchor and go to an entirely different image. With the KM-H3000 this is very easy. All you have to do is activate the background in all 3 keyers, and by the swipe of the fader lever you can go to another image. No need to press any extra buttons, no need to use more than one hand. Because of the professional layout of the transition area in the KM-H3000, operators who have learned to operate the KM-H3000 will have no problem operating much larger switchers in a production environment. The KM-H3000 is housed in a small robust metal chassis and has 12 individual signal inputs. 8 of the inputs are directly accessible through the program or any of the other buses. 4 more inputs are accessible by holding down the shift key and pressing the individual input buttons. In addition to the 12 regular inputs, there are also 2 media stores. Media store number 1 can be accessed by holding down the shift key and pressing the number 7 button. Media store number 2 can be accessed by holding down the shift key and pressing the number 8 button. Media stores can be filled by means of a USB stick, which can contain either still images or animations as target images. The operation of the KM-H3000 is menu driven. To activate the menus, press the menu button. Now you have access to different menus that can be used to set up individual functions in the KM-H3000. For instance, by pressing the user key, you can change the color scheme of the keyboard by just selecting a certain scheme and confirming that. If you want to repeat a live show the next day, you will often face the problem that a certain caption that is keyed into the live show should not be seen during the repeat of the show. In that case, you can record a clean feed of the mixer signal, press the menu button, go to System, and select an appropriate clean feed, which can then be output through one of the auxiliary outputs of the switcher. The KM-H3000 has 3 auxiliary outputs. Through the use of this bus, you can assign individual sources to each of the 3 auxiliary outputs. So for instance, if you want to have source number 1 on auxiliary output number 1, you can just select auxiliary output number 1 and press source 1. Source 2 can be assigned a different input signal, and auxiliary output number 3 can be assigned a clean feed signal by holding down the shift button on the upper bus and pressing clean feed on the preset bus. Lighting up in pink indicates that a clean feed signal has been selected. You've seen how easy it is to operate the KM-H3000. All the functions that you've seen plus many more are included as standard. This makes the KM-H3000 the unique universal tool that makes your daily work more easy and efficient.